There have been 4 arrests in the past 24 hours stemming from a grand jury investigation to determine the extent of organized crime's influence in Atlantic City. All 4 men have been charged with promoting and conspiring to promote prostitution in the Atlantic City area. Dan Hodgson has the story.
3 of the 4 suspects were released on bail from the Atlantic County Jail today. Joseph Altamari, in the black suit, was allegedly the main figure in the prostitution ring. He's reported to be an associate of crime boss Little Nicky Scarfo and involved as well in illegal gambling and narcotics operations. He's charged with providing protection and legal assistance to an unnamed partner in the prostitution business. He was released on $10,000 bail. Anthony Lancieri and John Kinney were both released on $5,000 bail. Neither of them have prior arrest records. They, the 4th suspect, who was arrested later, and 2 more who have been indicted but not yet arrested, are thought to have been involved in the business as bodyguards, couriers, and managers of the escort prostitution service. State police officials would not comment today on whether the other 5 are also organized crime figures. In fact, police and the Attorney General's office would not comment at all on the investigation. Today's indictments were very limited and did not reveal whether there's evidence of mob infiltration in the overall prostitution problem in Atlantic City. City and casino officials have been wrestling with that problem for years. Visitors to the city often complain of being harassed by prostitutes. Police say hookers have been involved in robberies totaling some $2 million so far this year. The problem has eased somewhat, though, in recent months as a result of stricter sentences being given to those convicted. But most believe the major problem is not with the streetwalkers, but with those who solicit inside casinos and through escort services. This week's arrests involved a number of the so-called dating or escort businesses. This house in Atlantic City is a site of the Lucky Lady Dating Service, one of 3 locations of the alleged prostitution ring. The investigation into organized crime involvement in prostitution will be continuing, as well as the probe into mob influence on Atlantic City labor unions, slot machine rip-offs, illegal gambling, and infiltration into local restaurants. The investigation is not expected to be completed for several months. In Atlantic City, I'm Dan Hodgson. Local police say the casinos and the money they attract have made Atlantic City a prime destination for prostitutes from all along the East Coast. Businesses complain they're losing customers, and public pressure has been growing to get something done. Until a few weeks ago, it wasn't uncommon to have 70 or 80 prostitutes lining Pacific Avenue, often approaching passers-by with obscenities and worse. Police say the prostitution they see is anything but a victimless crime. The hookers were involved in robberies totaling $1.5 million in just the first 6 months of this year. That's a rate more than twice as high as just 1 year ago. And the police say that more and more prostitutes are being picked up carrying razors, knives, studded bracelets, and other weapons. But in the last few weeks, things have changed dramatically. Last night, only a handful of hookers were on the street. The police have doubled and sometimes tripled the number of undercover officers on duty. They've made more than 100 arrests in the past 2 weeks. Already this year, they've made far more than during all of 1981. This is all quite a switch from last November when local law enforcement officials recommended legalizing prostitution. The recommendation was prompted by a dispute with a local municipal court judge who refused to put first-time offenders in jail. The court has been severely criticized by local officials and a special city committee now pressing for mandatory jail sentences.
The only way, at least at this stage of the proceedings, with the law written as it is, to stop this or put some kind of damper on it is if you take, quote, the product off the street. They cannot make the $14,000 in a 10 to 14 day period if they're incarcerated. That's got to put a dent in their money making. It may dissuade them from staying or persuade them to leave the area.
The current crackdown started soon after the disputed judge went on vacation. His replacement has been putting first-time offenders in jail for 10 days and fining them the maximum of $500. There's some question as to whether this violates the intent of the state law, which classifies prostitution as a petty, disorderly persons offense. And there's considerable question as to whether the presiding judge will continue this practice when he returns from vacation. We are unable to reach him for comment today. But the streets in Atlantic City are cleaner now than they've been in years. And the City Blue Ribbon Committee on the issue is pushing for an ordinance to make sure first-time offenders and all convicted prostitutes continue to go to jail. In Atlantic City, I'm Dan Hodgson.